I'm going to do some front end work on this Ford Ranger today, and I'm going to start by taking off the wheel with these new tools that I received courtesy of Justin Sturgill Trucking, and they're Milwaukee brand. M18 is a couple of the bigger tools. That's the battery size, and then the M12. And the bigger ones are extremely impressive. I'm going to try the little stubby, the 1/2-inch drive stubby. It's the one laying in the middle there on the creeper. I'm going to be careful about not getting any scratches on them because I need to record serial numbers on these. They have serial numbers on them, and I need to record those, and I haven't done that yet. And this is just a couple of them. He sent me several, I think 4 at this point. There's one more larger wrench that takes truck tires off, and it literally does. I already tried it at work. And he just got me on this battery operated stuff here, and I did a whole bunch of hours on YouTube looking at reviews on these Milwaukee tools, and it's nothing but excellent reviews all the way down the line. So I already went on Amazon and ordered a couple of other M12, that's the smaller ones, tools. I ordered a ratchet, a cordless ratchet, and a cordless screwdriver. And anyway, right now I'm going to see if that little stubby, that little 1/2-inch stubby, will take these lug nuts off. I know the bigger one. I know this one will take them off in a heartbeat. Let's see what this stubby does. I do have a battery charged up. Let's see which power am I on. I'm on number 3. That should work. Let's see if it takes these off. Well, the stubby's not going to. But this bad boy certainly will. But that stubby will fit in a lot of places I can't get into with this one for sure. And look, it's not too fast. It's not going to throw them across the yard. I'm just learning this. After it breaks loose, you let go of the trigger, you pull it again, then it comes out slow. It won't throw them. Look at that. I just now figured that one out. So you won't lose any lug nuts. Yeah, I'm just throwing the tools on the creeper here so I don't get them scratched up. I got to do stabilizer links, shocks, and a grease a bearing on this side, and adjust it. These stabilizer links are in a real bad way. Stabilizer links, I'm not going to even do that on video because if you can't figure out how to do that, you got no business messing with it. But the shocks, I might. There's really nothing to these. Just take these bolts off the bottom and take this one off the top. Nothing to it. The only tricky thing is sometimes these top ones want to spin and you have to hold it with something underneath. That's the only thing. I got the key in the ignition and I got it unlocked and then turned all the way back up against the lock so that I can still turn the wheels, but nothing is on inside. And I just turned the wheel over here. I'm going to put my screwdriver in behind this brake here and just kind of push the caliper piston back a little bit. When you're changing brakes, I stick it in here between the brake pad and the rotor, but I don't want to scar up the brake pad because I'm not changing the brakes. They're still good brakes. Just going to push these out a little bit and make some room. Now I'm going to try the stubby again on these. I'm sorry about the sun. The sun's directly behind me and I have to try to stay out of the way. Easy peasy. See, that big one wouldn't have room to do this back here. I'd have to do that with a hand ratchet. They tell you not to let these hang, but if it's not hanging and putting a real sharp kink in it, this is hanging straight down, so there's no kink. I'm not afraid of doing that. So I'm going to take this off of here. Looks like this one is bolted on separately. I didn't know that. Okay, so I'll have to, I didn't even need to take this caliper off because it's a two-piece caliper. I didn't know that. I got to take this off because I still have to get this thing out of here to get the rotor off. Anyway, two bolts in here, one there and one up in here. I'll get them off. I'm going back 30-something years. The way we used to do this, it might be different these days. I don't know. We'll find out. I've always been able to pull these off like this. Tight. I usually use a dikes to get this out. Actually, it looks like it's been greased fairly recently. Just seemed to be loose, but maybe it's not. I'll go ahead and repack these bearings anyway, even though it looks like it's reasonably well done. Oh, didn't get it. Not in too bad a shape, but I'm going to go get some more grease. Be right back. I just cleaned a bunch of dirt stuff off of this thing here. I don't know exactly what this is. I'm going to guess that this is a sensor or part of the sensor for ABS, but I do not see an ABS sensor on here. I'm not worried about this thing being clean, because if I understand the way it works, it's just the sensor has a little it's a little thing sticking out over here someplace, and it would have a wire going to it. It's got a magnet in it, and as the magnetic field pulls, it pulsates as it passes each one of these. It'll pull and pulsate on that magnet, send the signal to the computer. Anyway, what I am a little bit concerned about is all the dirt that's inside these cooling fins. I'm going to clean that out. I'm going to stick a rag in here because I don't want dust going in there. I was going to get some, but I don't want to have to clean it all out and start over. So I'm going to blow this out. I don't know where this thing was parked, but it had a lot of junk. Look here. All of this garbage here, show you how big that is, size of my foot. All of that was in the air filter. It was terrible. I got that all cleaned out. I'm going to reach down here and grab some. There's a whole bunch of extra grease in the middle there. It'll just get pushed out of the way when I put the thing back on. So I'm just going to reach in there, grab some of that, wipe it around this inner bearing, and then I'm going to wipe off this bearing seal and put it back on. Don't have any reason to change it. And we'll get that on camera. I'm going to go ahead and pack this bearing a little bit by hand, show you how I do that. Normally I'd just wipe the grease around it a little bit because it looks like it's in decent shape, but I'm going to go ahead and do the packing as if it were a new bearing. Now I cannot see, all I can do is guess what's in the camera here, because I can see my hands moving a little bit in the viewfinder. I don't have my camera cart out here where I can see. I'm going to get a couple paper towels ready, because I'm going to need them when I get done with this packing. It doesn't matter if you mix one brand of grease with another. To me it doesn't matter. Somebody might say it does. Wipe a little of this in here on that bearing. Anyway, what I like to do is I take the big side of the bearing and I scoop, put a couple of fingers in there, however many fingers will fit. I scoop some grease up, take the palm of my hand, and I keep pushing it through the big side until it comes out the small side. Not like it did there, it came out through the middle. It's not what I'm after. I want to see it come out in here. And I'll tell you what, I'm getting some rust. I don't know what we can see on camera. I'm going to try. But see, I'm getting some dark brown there. This grease, the old grease, is kind of green. And I'm putting kind of a peanut butter colored grease in. And I'm getting a dark brown coming out from in between the bearing. Is that rust or is that a previous grease job? I don't know. But I'm going to work it like this, and I'm just pumping it through the big side between these, the bearing here and the inner race. I'm pumping it through on the big side and it's coming out on the smaller side. That's the only way you know 100% for sure that you've got that thing packed. If there's any old rusty grease in there, you got it out. And yeah, I'll be mixing it in with the new stuff, but oh well, won't hurt it. New stuff's gonna win because there's more of it. I'd turn the camera off about now, but I'm not gonna touch it with hands like this. I don't have as much grease as I started with. Maybe there wasn't so much grease inside those rollers. Maybe it needed this to fill it up a little more. Just didn't sound quite right when I rolled the wheel the other day. When I had it jacked up and I turned the wheel. And I pulled and pushed on it and it seemed like it could have been adjusted a little bit better. That pretty much took all the grease that I scooped out of there, I think. I want to contaminate the new grease, so I'm going to go on ahead and throw this one out. I'm just going to clean up this seal and then inspect the lip of it. I don't have new seals, so if I don't like the lip of it, then I'll have to put all this stuff away and go to the parts store. Okay, when I inspect the lip, I'm just kind of picking at it, making sure it's still pliable. The part that goes against it, that seals on here, just trying to make sure it's still pliable. It's going to be okay. Well, actually, this part seals up here on this one. Cleaned that up a little better. I didn't know this was all gunky like that. Well, the good thing is this seal up here, even though I'm cleaning it off a little bit to where it mates at, does not hold any liquid oil back. It just pretty much keeps water from getting in and dirt. More so than keeping grease in the bearing area. Now, I hope we're on camera here. I'm trying to move my fingers around and see if I can see. Okay, I think we are. I'm going to wipe a little more grease right around the top of this bearing. Well, I can't get much more in there. This seal back in there. This is one seal that I don't really mind using a regular hammer and just kind of slowly tapping my way around. This side's a little higher, so I'm going to concentrate over here. Now that's ready to put back on here. So I'm going to make sure this has a little coating of oil or grease on it. I don't want the seal to be dry when it goes on there. I would do the same thing with the outer bearing. This one is easier because you just put one finger in it and it starts pumping through pretty quick. Actually, I ran out of grease already. This thing really wasn't properly greased. It just looked like it was. The wheel just spun a little bit too freely. It should have a little bit of resistance. And that resistance would be just the pastiness, the stickiness of the grease, not because the bearing is tight. You don't want the bearing tight. You want it just barely seated, just barely seated. And if you can't get your crown cap on, you change positions of your crown cap. And if you still can't get it on, well, then you back it off the least amount possible, but never tighten it more to the next hole. You always back it off to the next hole. Okay, now we'll wipe some of this around here. I don't know what I'm getting on camera, I apologize. I'm going to wipe some inside this inner race a little bit too. I didn't take a real close inspection of the bearings for pitting, because normally you'll see some rust spots if it's pitted, and I didn't really see anything like that, but I forgot to mention it. Okay, now I'm going to take my pliers, tighten this down tight, roll this a couple times, and then I'll back it off and then tighten it up until it just seats. Just seats with no pressure. Put this, you can keep turning this around until, let me get the camera on that. See that little hole there? My cotter pin goes in that hole there. You can keep turning this around until you find one that lines up with it, like that one right there. It's going to be like, just keep doing it until you find one. I'm looking for another one because I wanted to show. Okay, so we got a good one there. We'll go with that. I got more cotter pins, but ain't nothing wrong with that one, but I need two hands to put it in. I didn't do this on camera. I'm going to do it again. I just took a paper towel right here on the corner and just kind of give it a spin like that. Clean it off a little bit. I'll go ahead and put this on there. Now I'm going to go get some brake cleaner and clean the grease that I let get on here because I got this thing a little bit nasty on both sides. I'll get some brake cleaner and clean that off. Alright, I'm going to put this thing back together, put the brakes back on it, and go on to the next job, which will be another video. And then whenever you back your brake shoes off, after you put them all back on there, you always want to pump up your pedal before you try to drive the thing, or you may not have enough brake. You may have to pump your pedal to get your brakes tight again before you have any brakes. So don't forget to do that. Alright, I'm just going to go ahead and put the brake calipers back on the same way I took them off. Thanks for watching.